rule did your teacher break? She treated my medical device like contraband. It was the kind of morning that already felt too loud. Fluorescent lights, the squeak of sneakers in the hallway, that weird exam day silence where everyone pretends they're calm while their stomachs do backflips. Third period was the state science assessment. Our proctor wasn't my teacher. She was a substitute they'd brought in for test security. Clipboard, lanyard, that tight smile that says she enjoys rules more than people. I sat down, pulled my pencil out, and did what I always do without thinking. I checked the small receiver in my pocket that talks to the sensor on my arm. It's not a phone. It doesn't text. It doesn't browse. It does one job. Warn me when my blood sugar drops fast enough that my brain starts shutting doors. My plan was on file. My parents had emailed the school. The nurse had met with my teachers at the start of the year. The words, medical device, do not confiscate, were literally printed in bold on the accommodation sheet. And still, the proctor's eyes locked onto the receiver like she'd caught me with a cheat sheet. No electronics, she said, loud enough for 3 rows to hear. Everything goes in the collection bin. It's not a phone, I whispered. It's medical. She held out her hand anyway. I felt that familiar pinch of panic. Not emotional panic, the chemical kind. The kind that comes from knowing your safety net is about to be taken away by someone who thinks rules are a personality trait. It alarms when I go low, I tried again. I have type 1 diabetes. She tilted her head like I'd said something trendy. Everyone has something now, she said. Anxiety, ADHD, special passes, special snacks, special treatment. Her voice got softer. Not in my room. I looked toward the front where the teacher's desk sat. There was a laminated sign. No talking, no phones, violations invalidate the test. Like the test was sacred. My glucose tabs are in my bag, I said. I might need them. No food, she replied instantly. You can eat after. I could feel half the class listening without looking. That exam day attention where nobody wants to get involved, but everybody hears everything. Then my sensor buzzed. Low. Not maybe. Not keep an eye. Low. I raised my hand, slowly, politely, like you're supposed to when your life depends on someone taking you seriously. I need to go to the nurse, I said. The proctor walked over, leaned down so only I could hear, and said, If you leave, you fail. I stared at her. She stared back. Then she reached into my pocket, took the receiver, and, like she was silencing an annoying ringtone, pressed the button that shuts off the alarm. The buzzing stopped. And suddenly, I was alone with my own body. People think low blood sugar feels like hunger. It doesn't. Not at first. At first, it feels like your brain is trying to run on fumes and pretending it's fine. Your hands get shaky. Your vision gets slightly wrong around the edges. You reread the same sentence 5 times and it still won't stick. I tried to focus. I really did. I kept thinking, answer fast, finish, get out, get sugar. But the numbers on the page started doing that soft, drifting thing, like they were sliding away from me. I raised my hand again. This time she didn't even look annoyed. She looked amused. Yes, she mouthed, like we were in a library. My blood sugar is dropping, I said. I need glucose, now. She tapped the clipboard like it had the answer. No talking, she whispered sharply. Right, finish, you'll live. I heard a chair scrape behind me. My friend, Maya, half stood up. She's diabetic, Maya said, louder. She needs sugar. The proctor snapped her head around like Maya had threatened her. Sit down, she said. Do you want a suspension? Because I can write one right now. Maya sat, but I saw her hand shaking with anger. My own hands were shaking for a different reason. I tried to reach for my bag anyway. It was right under my desk. Just glucose tabs. Just 3 little chalky squares that taste like oranges and safety. The proctor stepped in. No, she said. I looked up at her and heard my own voice come out small and strange. I can pass out. She smiled like I'd admitted something. If you're really sick, she said, you can finish later. But you're not leaving this room to avoid the exam. Then she did the second thing I'll never forget. She moved the collection bin, where everyone's phones sat, closer to her chair, and put her foot in front of it like she was guarding it. Anyone who tries to call for help will be removed, she announced to the room. This is a test, not a drama club. My throat went dry. The room felt too bright. I could hear my heart beating like it was trying to warn the class. And then the world started getting slow. Not movie slow. Wrong slow. Like my brain was losing frames. I tried to stand up. My legs didn't agree. I don't remember hitting the floor. I remember waking up to voices. Not the normal classroom murmur. The sharp, urgent kind. The kind adults use when they're pretending they're calm, but they're terrified. Turn her on her side. Where's the nurse? Did anyone call 911? We did. She said we couldn't. I blinked and saw the ceiling tiles swimming. I heard Maya crying. I tried to speak, but my tongue felt thick, like it belonged to someone else. And I heard the proctor, still in control, still performing, telling someone in the hallway. It was a panic attack. Teen girls do this. It's attention. I tried to sit up and the room tilted. A paramedic knelt beside me. Hey, he said, gentle. Can you tell me your name? My mouth opened and nothing came out. He looked at my arm, at the sensor patch. His face changed. Where's her glucose? He asked, sharper now. Maya sobbed. It was in her bag. She wouldn't let her. The proctor said. Food isn't allowed during standardized testing. The paramedic's eyes flicked to her like she'd spoken in another language. This isn't food, he said. This is treatment. The nurse finally pushed through the doorway, face pale, hands shaking as she tore open my bag. Glucose tabs, juice box. The things that were supposed to be allowed because my brain needs sugar to stay on. The paramedic checked my blood sugar and swore under his breath. Then he looked at the proctor and said, very calmly, How long was she symptomatic before you called? The proctor didn't answer. She just lifted her chin and said, I followed procedure. I rode the stretcher down the hallway with fluorescent lights streaking past like a bad dream. And through the blur, I saw the principal, Principal Harrow, standing outside her office, lips pressed tight, already doing that face administrators do when they're calculating liability. I spent the rest of that day in the ERIV monitors, my mom's hand crushing mine like she was trying to anchor me to the world. I heard the doctor say words like severe hypoglycemia and loss of consciousness and this could have been catastrophic. And I watched my mom's face go from fear to something colder. That night, the district emailed us condolences written like a press release. They called it an incident. They said they were reviewing procedures. They never wrote my name. They never wrote what she did. And 2 days later, a certified envelope arrived at our house. Inside was a settlement offer, money for the ER bill, money for emotional distress, and a line that made my stomach drop. In exchange, the student agrees not to discuss the incident publicly, online, or with media. My mom read it twice and said, They're trying to buy your silence. My dad, who almost never raises his voice, said, They're trying to erase what happened. And in my chest, under the fear and the fatigue, something ugly woke up. Because if they could erase me, someone who survived, then they could erase the next kid who didn't. When you're a kid, you think adults handle things. You think if something goes wrong, the system corrects itself. What I learned that week is that the system's first instinct is to protect itself. The proctor, Mrs. Dalloway, was placed on paid administrative leave. Paid. Like she'd done something stressful. Like she'd been the victim. At school, people started picking sides the way they always do when the truth is inconvenient. Half the comments were supportive. The other half sounded exactly like the proctor. Kids fake stuff. Everyone wants special treatment. She just wanted to keep the test fair. Fair. Like fairness is confiscating safety. Maya and 2 other students wrote statements. They described the alarm, the way the proctor blocked the bag, the way she threatened suspensions if anyone called for help. The assistant principal took their statements with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Then the district's lawyer called my mom and said, We want to resolve this quietly. Quietly. That word became a weapon. They told us if we spoke publicly, we could complicate the process. They warned about defamation. They reminded us I was a minor. Like that made me easier to control. My mom asked one question that made the lawyer pause. Do you have video? She said. Because my daughter's classmates say she collapsed for minutes before help was called. He said, We're looking into all relevant materials. Which is lawyer speak for, please stop asking. That's when Maya did what adults wish kids wouldn't do. She started searching. Not gossip searching, proof searching. She found a public post from 2 years ago, an old community forum where Mrs. Dalloway had commented under her full name. She'd written about the problem with modern students and how medical accommodations are a loophole for laziness. She'd called it a culture of excuses. Maya screenshot it before it disappeared. Then someone else, anonymous, printed copies and left them in the cafeteria. And suddenly the school wasn't just reviewing procedures. Suddenly, parents were furious. Because 35 to 44-year-olds don't play about one thing, other adults risking their children. A group chat formed, then a meeting, then a lawyer. Not because we were power hungry, because we'd seen the pattern. If you don't force the truth into the light, the system will keep it comfortably dim. 3 weeks after I collapsed, I found the USB drive in my locker. No note, no label. Just a small black rectangle sitting on my textbooks, like it had always belonged there. My hands shook so badly I could barely plug it into my laptop. One video file, a timestamp, the day of the exam, hallway camera footage. At first I thought it wouldn't show anything. Cameras never show the part that matters. But this one did. Not perfectly, not cinematic, just enough. You could see through the small window in the classroom door for a few seconds at a time as students moved around. You could see Maya standing, waving her arms. You could see me swaying, trying to stand. And you could see the proctor, calm as stone, step toward the door and gesture for everyone to sit down. You could see her block the path to my bag. Then you could see my body fold. And you could see the moment she looked at the collection bin, at the phones, and pushed it farther away. That was the part that made my mom go silent. Because it wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. We took the USB straight to the attorney the parent group had hired. She didn't let us copy it. She didn't let us send it. She talked about chain of custody like it was sacred. And for the first time since the exam, I felt something close to relief. Not because I was okay, but because the truth finally had weight. The district's tone changed overnight. Their next email wasn't condolences. It was strategy. They proposed a restorative circle, a healing conversation, a scripted apology where everyone moves forward. My mom laughed, one sharp, humorless sound, and said, "They want to turn negligence into a feelings workshop." The attorney filed a complaint with the state education board. She demanded logs of the test session. She demanded written policies about medical devices. She demanded the proctor's training record. And then the district tried one last move. They offered more money, a bigger settlement, a thicker NDA. And my mom slid it back across the table and said, "You can keep your money. We want change." The hearing happened 2 months later. The judge didn't let anyone say anxiety like it explained everything. She didn't let anyone hide behind procedure without defining it. When the video played, you could hear parents inhale like the room had lost oxygen. The district promised new training, mandatory, not optional. They promised clearer policies for medical devices. They promised proctors would be briefed on accommodation plans before they stepped into a room. And Mrs. Dalloway? She resigned, effective immediately. The district called it a mutual decision. My mom called it what it was, accountability arriving late, because we dragged it there. I'm not telling you this story because it's satisfying. It's not. I still flinch when alarms buzz. I still carry sugar like it's a life jacket. And I still think about the version of this story where nobody slipped me that USB drive. The version where I signed the NDA and disappeared. The version where the system stayed comfortable until the next kid collapsed. So if you're asking what rule my teacher broke, it wasn't just no electronics. It was the rule that matters most. When a kid says they're in danger, you believe them.